time in politics when you're on the Daily Politics. No, sorry, when you're known just by your Christian name, like Boris or Ken or Lembit. Well, maybe not Lembit. And one politician who falls into that category is Betty, the former Speaker of the Commons, now known as Baroness Boothroyd. She was once described by Tony Blair as both a national treasure and an institution. And in the latest in our series, A Life in Politics, our Joko has talked to her.
What was your childhood like? Was it tough?
I had a very happy childhood. I was an only child and I was somewhat indulged, but I had a father who was very disciplined. So I quite enjoyed it, although it was we were a poor family. And perhaps that is what formed my opinion in many ways.
How did it, if you like, form your opinions in terms of life in politics?
I came from a mill town in the West Riding of Yorkshire. My father unemployed many years of his life when I was a child. My mother going out to work 5.5 days a week. The mill chimneys at the end of the street, very little income to live on. My father was at home and he would draw the curtains and try and help my mother by cleaning the house, but he was too embarrassed to let the neighbours know he did it. And I thought, there's something better than this in life. We've got to make changes.
So you were aspirational even at that stage and ambitious?
So. I think so. And I was really rather radical, actually. Probably more of a radical than I am at the present time. Because I did answer back to my parents, which was very naughty of me. My father used to say, you shouldn't answer back. And so I was really rather a stubborn child and a radical streak in me, I think, all the time.
So you were always Labour?
Always Labour, yes. Perhaps I came out of the womb into the Labour movement. My parents were members of the Textile Workers Union and members of the local Labour Party. And my mother used to take me on Saturday afternoons with the women's section of the Labour Party. We'd get into the coach and we'd go with sandwiches to Huddersfield, Leeds or Bradford and hear people like Jenny Lee, Clem Attlee, who was a great hero of mine, Nye Bevan, Barbara Castle, all these people. And this was our Saturday afternoon out.
But tell us about your days as a tiller girl.
I was a tiller girl for about 3 months. My mother used to shop at the Co-op and therefore she could save the dividends to pay for my dancing lessons. And this is how I came to be a dancer and I loved it. And I thought I'm going to take the West End stage by storm. I went up to London and I joined the Tillers School and I danced a bit at the Palladium, 1946, 47, that period. And I don't think I was awfully good at it. I thought I was very good, yeah. I mean, I thought that people, young men were going to drink champagne out of my shoes. Anyway, in next to no time, I was sent to the, I wouldn't say the third-rate tiller line, Luton. I thought it was the theatrical equivalent of being sent to Siberia, actually. And I didn't like it one bit, and as I say, an only child, away from home, bad winter. I wanted to go back to the cuddles of my daddy and my mummy, and I left.
So you entered the world of politics instead?
Well, yes, I was always interested even before that, but of course the world of politics waited for me, and then I said, waited for me, but it was there, and I took it up, and I don't think I've looked back since. I've never regretted that.
I'm the Labour candidate here in the Nelson and Combe by-election.
Well, you're all alike, you're all for yourself, we never do vote.
You're going to be voting for me tomorrow?
I hope so.
You hope so. So do I too, yes. With a cheery smile like that, I'm sure you are.
But it wasn't an easy road, was it, to actually winning a seat?
I'd fought about 5 or 6 elections, 2 of them by-elections. And, you know, there was a time I thought, I'm going to go into the Guinness Book of Records for the girl most unlikely to succeed, until I got to West Bromwich, 73.
The name of the candidate elected is Betty Boothroyd.
That was how I did it, I think, just determination. I wanted it very much.
Did you encounter any prejudice when you did enter Parliament
yes.
finally, as a woman, a northerner?
Yes, I did. And the prejudice came from women, actually, mainly at selection conferences. When I was selected for West Bromwich, there was one woman who she didn't ask me a question, she made a comment. She said, we're not going to have you, you know. She said, you've never been married, you've no children, you don't know what it's like to make ends meet and have all the problems of paying bills and the problems you've got at home. And the only thing I could say to her was, yes, you're quite right. I've never been married, I've never had any of those responsibilities, but it's given me more time to look after the likes of you, lovey. But the prejudice, I'm telling you, came from women to start with. And once you got over that, then they were supportive. But it was very difficult in the early days to do that.
What would you, at that time, be thinking you might have done 10, 20 years on? Was there a sort of senior ministerial post that you were chasing at that time? Did you have those sorts of ambitions?
Not at all. My only ambition was to become a Member of Parliament. And once I'd achieved that, I just thought that was great. Look after my constituency, do the job that I have to do here. I had no ambition to be a minister. I could not have done it. I know my limitations. I do not believe I would have been a good minister.
If you say you'd reached your ambition by becoming a Member of Parliament and you were involved at sort of committee levels, how did you go from that to becoming Speaker?
Bossiness, I suppose, or people keeping in control. All I can say is the inevitability of gradualness. Then they wanted a Deputy Speaker and I got that. Well, isn't this great? It was wonderful. And I remember going into the chair for the first time as Deputy Speaker, and Jack Weatherall, who was Speaker then, he said, come on, give her a chair. Well, nobody'd give me a chair. And somebody was making a speech, Peter Pike, a member for Burnley, many years ago. And he looked up and there I was and he said, oh, what do we call you? And I stood on my 5'4" or whatever I was then, and I said, call me Madam. And they did. And then, of course, to be Speaker, I just felt then, go for gold. If you can do the Deputy, you can do the Speaker's job.
The main question is that Miss Betty Boothroyd do take the chair of this House as Speaker. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. Those of the contrary opinion say no. The ayes have it.
When you're dragged to the chair, you show reluctance. No, no, I don't want it. No, thank you very much. And I think most people realise why you do that. I hope they do. It is because so many speakers were sent to the Tower, off with their heads when they were not popular with the monarch of the day.
Did you see yourself as a feminist at that time? The first female speaker?
No.
Leading? No.
No. I saw myself as somebody who could do the job rather better than anybody else at that particular time, if I may say so.
What about telling off MPs? Did you love doing that too?
Oh, I think I was very gentle with them, actually.
Order! The honourable gentleman will resume his seat immediately. Immediately! Immediately! I shall name the honourable member.
I didn't ask for any concessions and I never got any, and I never gave any concessions. I don't think I've told them off, just sort of gently once in a while. You know, resume your seat. It's about time. Resume your seat. We've had enough.
Looking back at your life, do you think there were things you missed out on? Do you think that politics was so, or political life and parliamentary life, so all-consuming that you missed out on other things?
Perhaps I missed out on not getting married. I let men perhaps slip between my fingers. But there's a time and place for everything, and they never came at the right time and the right place. But, you know, in all seriousness and all honesty, I mean, I think wouldn't it be lovely to have had a family? So, of course, I've missed out on some of that, but you have to make choices in life. At least I always felt I had to make choices. And I made my choice, and that was it, and I've got to live with it.
What about your most memorable moment as Speaker?
Oh, I had a lot of memorable moments. So many people came to visit. Westminster was on everybody's list. Nelson Mandela was the greatest person. I mean, he was a great hero of mine. I always read a great deal about him. I met him at St. Stephen's entrance. I said, don't forget, Mr. President, be careful of those steps. You pace yourself and I'll pace myself with you. I was in long robes. He was a bit shaky on the knees. I said, neither of us want to go base over apex, do we, down those steps? So watch it. He said, don't worry, Madam Speaker. I came here at 6 o'clock this morning to see the thing. With that, the trumpet sounded. He took my hand and we walked up St. Stephen's entrance and into Westminster Hall. Great history, wonderful, the best moment of my life. What a man. So, you know, well, memories like that, I've had a great life.
Great image there to end a great interview. You can see a lot